Welcome back to the sixth episode of Savikalpa Sanchar. And we have with us here today Dr. Neema Sharma, a senior obstetrician, a gynecologist at Fortis, Vasant Kunj, and we'll be discussing some women's health and wellness topics. Opening the floor for you so you can also speak with Dr. Sharma directly to clear any healthcare concerns that you may have.
Thank you, Dia. Thank you for calling me here. So we can start. These are all important topics. So please, we can have the discussion.
As a woman myself, I'm very curious, and today I'm not just sitting as a host, but I'm also sitting as a patient, as a female, as a woman, and primarily we'll be discussing PMS. We'll also be discussing PCOD, PCOS, and not to forget menopause.
Yes.
Yeah. So the first question I have for you, doctor, is that what are the most common symptoms of hormonal imbalances in women, including those related to PCOS? And how are these conditions generally diagnosed?
Okay, so Dia, let's start with PCOS. PCOS, PCOD, these are same terminologies. It is actually called polycystic ovarian syndrome. It is actually a syndrome. It's not just few things. It's a combination of symptoms, ultrasound, and lab parameters. The common symptoms of PCOS would be menstrual irregularities. A girl or a woman would have prolonged cycles. They will have, the flow will be less. They will start having all those symptoms of acne, facial hair fall, hair thinning. They're struggling with weight gain. And in fact, in PCOS patient, you'll realize that in spite of working too hard, in spite of dietary restrictions, they can't reduce weight.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a condition called lean PCOS also, in which a woman is lean but will have PCOS. So these are the clinical features. We advise ultrasound and blood parameters to confirm the diagnosis of polycystic ovarian syndrome. So once we make the diagnosis, then comes the management for PCOS.
Correct.
As I said, it's a lifestyle disease and it has to be managed only by lifestyle modification. There is no treatment for PCOS. The treatment is only lifestyle, which includes exercise, diet, healthy lifestyle, good sleep, exercise, maintenance of the BMI, that is weight reduction. And it is actually the waist and the hip ratio which is very important in PCOS patients. The treatment will depend upon only the symptoms. Suppose if a girl has acne, we will treat acne. If there is facial hair, we'll give treatment for facial hair, which can be laser, vaccine, threading, or some hormonal tablets. Hair fall, we give the treatment. But these treatments are only when you're taking it, there is an advantage. But when you stop it, everything comes back again. So the management is only with exercise, diet, and lifestyle modification. But whenever there is PCOS, it's important to consult a doctor so that at least treatment can be started. Yeah. It's not that, okay, it's just a lifestyle disease, sit at home. No, see a doctor so that proper treatment can be started. Because PCOS is associated with a lot of emotional problems also, There is weight gain, there's facial hair, they don't go out, they feel depressed. You need a lot of psychological counseling with them, and you have to treat all the symptoms, whatever they are having.
Yeah.
So besides lifestyle, it has to be treated with proper medicines, you know? So that it's actually a multidisciplinary team approach, which requires a gynecologist, which requires a skin specialist, which requires a psychologist, and sometimes a psychiatrist also.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of management of this hormonal problem.
Correct. I have a lot of women in my family as well as in my friends group who have PCOS, PCOD. I myself have thyroid, and I know that it's very closely linked. A lot of symptoms are very closely linked to it. Often a question is, or rather a thought is always lingering in our minds, that if our mothers have it or grandmothers have it, it'll be passed on to us. So do you think that genetics plays any role in it?
There is no evidence to prove that it is genetics or familial or anything. The evidence has proved that it's just a lifestyle disease, like obesity, like diabetes. These are all lifestyle diseases.
Correct.
So PCOS is also a lifestyle disease. So it's not necessary if the mother has it, girl child will also have it.
Understood. My next question to you, and we'll stick to the same topic before we move to PMS, is what are the potential long-term health risks associated with not treating PCOS or PCOD?
Yes. So, as I said, short-term problems, long-term problems. So
Yeah.
short-term problems I just mentioned. Later on, as the girl grows, problem in conceiving. So if she starts focusing on her lifestyle right from the beginning of her life, she'll be better off. She'll not have any difficulty in conceiving. But yes, if there is difficulty in conceiving in PCOS, there are medications which helps in ovulation, which helps in conception. Later on, long-term problems, yes. If the lifestyle is not managed, if she continues to gain weight, if she misses her period more frequently, if she doesn't get her periods every 2 months, then later on she's at risk of diabetes, high blood pressure, heart problems, and endometrial cancer, that is uterine cancer, cancer of the uterus. These are the risk factors which are associated with severe forms of PCOS, which should be addressed right from the beginning, so that these problems, and these are all avoidable things.
Yeah.
Like cancer of the uterus is avoidable. I mean, if she has a good healthy lifestyle, if she's having periods every 2 months, the risk of cancer of the uterus is very less.
Yeah.
Similar to that, diabetes, blood pressure, heart issues, if she maintains a good lifestyle, the chances are less. But yes, this girl needs a regular annual checkups.
Yeah.
Regular annual checkups for diabetes, for high blood pressure, for heart problems. And if she has any bleeding issues, she should consult a doctor so that a proper biopsy can be done and so that it can be picked up as early as possible.
Correct. Very interesting. And we'll move to PMS.
Yes.
What are the common symptoms of hormonal imbalances in women going through severe PMSing? And also PMSing is taken very lightly.
Yes.
Like even within the women community, oh, I'm PMSing. It's like
Yeah.
such a
Even my
term
daughter
now.
said, "Oh, Mama, don't speak to me. I'm PMSing."
Yeah.
What is PMSing? So
Yeah.
PMS is premenstrual syndrome, in which it happens because of ovulation. Actually, the egg is released on the 14th day, and these symptoms happen because of ovulation. And they're very time specific. It happens just before the periods, and it settles down after the periods. Now, PMS can be wide variety. It can be mild form of PMS, moderate or severe kind of PMS. Now, the symptoms it can start with simple symptoms like headache, mood swings, breast pain, weight gain, abdominal bloating, pain lower abdomen. These can be milder symptoms. It can be moderate. It can be severe mood swings to severe depression also, which can be severe kind of a premenstrual syndrome. So if a girl or a woman is having premenstrual syndrome and it settles down after the periods, first thing is to manage again with lifestyle. First thing is exercise, yoga, vitamins, vitamin D3, vitamin B6, pyridoxine, which helps. These are the yoga, meditation. All these things help in milder form of premenstrual syndrome.
Got it.
But if it is, severe form of a premenstrual syndrome or moderate to severe, and it's affecting her quality of life, then we have to give some medications, which can be, in terms of birth control pills. There are birth control pills which are available. The ones which can be safely given in PMS can be given. And with this, at least her symptoms are better. She can, her quality of life improves, and she is better off.
Yeah.
And sometimes if it is too severe, then we have to start some milder form of antidepressants also.
Yeah.
We have to involve the psychologist also, psychiatrist also. These are SSRI medicines which can be given safely, maybe given for a shorter time during the period of PMS, or it can be a continuous form. But yes, there is a treatment for PMS.
Yeah.
And if a girl or a woman is having PMS, milder symptoms, no problem, just lifestyle modification. But if it is severe, affecting her quality of life, she should see a doctor so that proper treatment can be started.
Okay. As a caffeine drinker and like as an avid caffeine drinker, would you suggest me to limit my coffee intake?
Yes. As I said, the first thing is lifestyle modification, which includes diet, exercise, meditation, supplements.
Yeah.
So that includes restriction of alcohol, restriction of coffee, no smoking, all these things would help
Yeah.
in normal, day-to-day activities.
Correct.
So it definitely works.
Correct. Moving to our next part of the webinar is to talk about premenopause and menopause. So, what are the common symptoms of hormonal imbalances in women who are going through premenopause as well as menopause?
Okay, so first thing it's important to know is what is menopause. Menopause means no periods for 1 year. So any woman who doesn't get periods for 1 year is menopause.
Okay.
But the symptoms, the menopausal or the perimenopausal symptoms starts at least 2 to 3 years before actual menopause. And then it continues for another 2 to 3 years. Now, these menopausal symptoms can be, to begin with, the commonest symptoms is hot flushes.
Yeah.
Sudden hot flushes, suddenly a woman becomes hot, night sweats, sweating, drenching, and suddenly she's all right. Sudden hot, that's called flushes or flashes, same thing.
Yeah.
So the first symptoms would be hot flushes and flashes, night sweats, again mood swings, inability to sleep. Then there can be gynecological issues, like there can be vaginal dryness, problems, decreased libido. All these things can start at least 1 year before menopause, and it can continue for another 2 to 3 years.
Got it.
So if a woman is suffering from all these symptoms, don't sit at home. Come out. There's a treatment for everything. You don't have to suffer in silence. Come out. Speak to your doctor. A complete examination is required. Anyways, every woman should have a complete examination, every
Absolutely.
year. And especially in the perimenopausal age group, it's more important to have complete gynecological examination as well as rest of the complete health checkup is required, which includes mammogram, ultrasounds, pap smears, blood test to see that yes, she's fit. Once it's very important to see the patient first. How much are the symptoms? If they are milder symptoms, okay, just we tell her, okay, do exercises similar to other hormonal problems. Exercise, meditate, do yoga, good healthy lifestyle, restrict smoking, coffee, alcohol, and vitamin D3, calciums, multivitamins. Then there are natural progesterones available called isoflavones. All these things help. But if a woman has severe vasomotor symptoms, which is affecting her quality of life, then she needs hormonal treatment.
Yeah.
That is the most important thing. And then there is a stigma attached to the hormonal treatment. Earlier, people used to think, oh, it will increase your risk of breast cancer, it will increase your risk of clot in the legs. But now we have enough evidence to prove that if a woman less than 60 years of age take all these hormonal treatment, it doesn't increase her risk of breast cancer. So hormonal treatment can be given to her to relieve all her symptoms.
Yeah.
Now this hormonal treatment can be in the form of oral tablets, can be in the form of a cream, or it can be a local application in the private parts. So all sort of treatment is available for all the symptoms of menopause so that she can have a good quality of life. I would like to add another thing here.
Yeah.
Nowadays we are getting a lot of patients with premature menopause.
And what's that?
So premature menopause is a woman at the age of 40 gets menopause.
I was just about to ask you this.
Yes. So at the age of 35, a woman is having menopause. 40, a woman is having menopause. Even 42, 40. See, the average age of menopause would be about 50, 51, 52. It also depends on the family history and so many other things. But if a woman at 40 years has menopause, that's premature menopause.
Yeah.
Now, this woman will have early aging, will have all problems of menopause, which usually starts at 60, 70. Her bones will be weak. Her heart will be weak. She'll age fast. So these are the women which require hormonal treatment.
Yeah.
They require hormonal treatment till the age of 50 years. So for 10 years, they are on hormonal treatment. So that is important for their health.
Correct.
So hormonal replacement therapy, which is also called menopausal hormonal treatment, is there. We recommend it to all women, especially premature menopause or
Yeah.
even during menopause, if the symptoms are so severe that it's affecting her quality of life. So that is advisable with regular follow up, obviously, with annual checkups, with annual mammograms, annual ultrasounds, and pap smears, and blood sugars, and lipid profile, but can be taken for a reasonably good amount of time so that, to tide over her symptoms of
Correct.
menopause, to have a good quality of life.
And is there any specific reason why women are becoming premenopausal at a very early age? Would you again say that it's lifestyle to blame?
So there are so many reasons for that. For premature menopause, first thing, it could be genetic. If the mother had early menopause, a girl child will also have early menopause. Then there are certain genetic conditions, there are certain chromosomal conditions which can result in premature menopause. Certain autoimmune conditions like thyroid disorders with autoantibodies present, they can have premature menopause. And so these are few conditions which can, the one who's got chemotherapy, radiotherapy for some cancers, they can have premature menopause. And sometimes we investigate, try to find out why it happened, but there's no reason for it. It's just there. Could be environmental, which we are not aware of it. But yes, we are getting a lot of patients with premature menopause.
Yeah, I think it's imperative for every woman to go to her gynecologist frequently, because I also feel that there's not a lot of information. There's lack of information on subjects like menopause, premenopausal.
Yes.
And that's very dangerous, and it's not really a conversation that is yet had even at homes,
Yeah,
mother
because
won't really know.
there's a trend, there's a this thing that menopause, okay, no problem, this is normal, this will happen.
Yeah.
So sit at home.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about it. But it's not the thing. There is a
Yes.
solution for it. Don't suffer in silence.
Yes.
Come out.
Yes.
Speak to your doctor.
Yes.
Speak to your healthcare professionals. There is treatment for it. We can manage it so as to have a good quality of life.
Yes. I think you covered as well that what are the potential long-term risks associated with not treating premenopausal or menopausal.
Yes. So as I said, the major problem is osteoporosis.
Yes.
What is osteoporosis is the bones get fragile. They're weak.
Yeah.
Even with a minor fall, you must have seen in your family, older people, just with a fall, they get fractures. So they are called fragility fractures. Even with a small fall, they'll have Colles fracture, hip fracture, spine fracture. So these are preventable.
Correct.
If a woman has got premature menopause, we give hormonal treatment till the age of 50, so we can prevent osteoporosis. That is for prevention of osteoporosis. And later on also, we do regular checkups to prevent osteoporosis, so that proper supplements, calcium, vitamin D3, along with other medication can be started to prevent osteoporosis.
Yeah. Going away from the physical elements of how you feel when you're going through menopause or premenopausal, what are the mental how does someone feel mentally when they're going through these things? What is the kind of imbalance that they would probably feel, like, apart from mood swings? Because I also know that there's from personal experience, there was a woman I know who thought she was having a panic attack. But she was actually not having a panic attack. She was just having, menopause. And then because of that, her son is now very aware of, of women, of what we go through or what we are about to go through, and we need to prepare ourselves. But just what do you think is the mental health of women going through this, and what would you advise them?
Yes. So again, menopause is a transitional phase,
Yes.
From one phase, you're going to another phase. There are a lot of hormonal changes happening.
Yes.
Hormones are getting deficient. So it starts with, again, every woman will not have all the problems.
Correct.
It can be, there'll be one spectrum of women will have no symptoms at all. There'll be, sudden stoppage of periods, and that's it. And they are absolutely fit, fine, doing all their activities and no problem. And they can be an extreme woman who can have, again, it starts with all these hot flushes, night sweats, mood swings to such an extent that she can't concentrate, she can't work, she's shouting in her workplace, she's shouting at her house, and she's depressed.
Yeah.
So, and as you said, panic attack.
Yes.
I had a patient last week, she said she started having palpitations. She went to a cardiologist. A complete cardiac workup was done, echo was done, everything was all right. She came back to me. I said, yes, it could be a part of menopausal symptoms. But it's important to rule out cardiac cause also first. If a woman is having palpitations or a panic attack, we have to rule out cardiac cause. We have to rule out neurological cause. Once everything has been ruled out, then yes, we say, okay, it could be because of menopause. Then we give some milder form of hormonal treatment for a short period of time, the smallest dose to tide over that phase. See, it's very important that we can't give hormonal treatment lifelong.
Correct.
We have to give it for a very short time, just to tide over that phase. So just 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, maximum 5 years. But then we have to stop after that.
Yeah.
But then, everybody acclimatized to it.
Yeah.
And they feel better.
Yeah.
And the symptoms are also better.
Yeah. It's a turning point.
Yes.
But you've got all the help in the world. You just have to go out there, speak up, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. This was really helpful, and it's been such a pleasure to have the opportunity to medical advice from a woman as experienced as yourself. And I'm sure others would agree as well. We're opening the floor for questions from the audience. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat or take yourself off mute and ask away. And we already have some questions.
Wow. Good.
So we've got a question from Swati Trivedi. I have irregular periods and acne. Is this PCOS, and should I meet a doctor?
So what's your age? That is the first question.
Swati, if you could just
Okay,
comment.
so let's
what's your
categorize.
age,
Let's,
but by
if
then.
she's a teenage, adolescent. Let's start with
Probably
that.
in her 20s.
20s.
Yes.
So any girl, 20 years, she's not getting her periods, delayed cycles or prolonged cycles, delayed by 40, 45 days, 60 days, with weight gain, with acne, with facial hair, with hair fall. Yes, she should see a doctor. As I said, it's not just the clinical symptoms. We need to do an ultrasound to make a diagnosis, plus the blood test. There are certain hormonal tests which are done on the second day of the period, and then after these 3 criterias, we make a diagnosis. Then yes, it could be PCOS.
She's saying she's 29.
She's 29. So again, the same thing. So if you've got irregular periods with acne, with all these symptoms, you should consult a gynecologist. There are certain blood tests to be done on the second day of the period. We need to do a good ultrasound. And another important thing, Swati, even if all your symptoms are all right, you need treatment for your periods, you need treatment for your acne. It's very important for every woman to have periods every 2 months. So if you're not getting periods every 2 months, you have to see a gynecologist. So certain medicines are given to you so that you get your periods every month.
Yeah.
For acne also, you need treatment. It can be treatment from a skin specialist, which could be a local treatment, or it could be treatment from us, which could be a hormonal treatment. But you will need treatment for both of your symptoms. So yes, please see a gynecologist, investigate, and start treatment.
Swati has another question. How early can menopause start?
Yeah. So there is, the thing is, the average age of menopause in India is about 50 to 52 years of this thing. It depends on the family history. If a mother had early menopause, daughter will also have early menopause, late menopause. But as I mentioned, we are getting a lot of patients with premature menopause as early as 40 years, as early as 35 years, we've got menopause. So if suppose, if a person doesn't get periods, again, she has to see a gynecologist. It could be a hormonal imbalance, just like PCOS, where you don't get your periods. But then if we give some medicines, investigate, and find out whether it is approaching menopause, that's called ovarian aging, or what is happening. So by investigation, by doing hormonal test, we can find out what is happening.
Understood. Another question from Swati. So should it be treatment for PCOS, or should I treat symptoms individually?
So the treatment of PCOS would be, again, I would start with diet, lifestyle, exercise. If the BMI is high, weight reduction, maintenance of the waist and hip ratio, which is very, very important. Thyroid, if there is thyroid, we have to treat thyroid. If there is prolactin levels are high, that needs to be treated. if the person is having metabolic problems, what happens is that in PCOS there is insulin resistance. Insulin is a hormone which maintains the blood sugars. So if there is insulin resistance, women will start having pigmentation. There is blackening of the skin. There is whitening below the eyelids. In addition to that, weight gain, reduction, difficulty in reducing. Then in those cases, we give medicine for the insulin resistance, to decrease the insulin resistance, which is available as metformin, which is given, which helps in PCOS. After this, the management would depend on her symptoms. If she's having irregular periods, haphazard periods, maybe sometimes 15 days, sometimes 3 months, along with a lot of acne, then birth control pills is the first line of action, first line of treatment for her. If she's getting facial hair, then laser, vaccine, threading is the first line treatment. But these birth control pills, when taken for a longer period, for about 6 to 7 months, it works for hirsutism, that is excessive facial hair also.
Okay.
So treatment has to be started. If there are symptoms, we have to do the treatment. But yes, first line is only lifestyle, and then we treat the symptoms.
Correct.
Like period, acne, facial hair. Individually, we have to treat all the symptoms.
Correct. We've got another question. Hello, Dr. Neema. Thank you for the detailed explanations. As I get older, how can I maintain strong bone health throughout my life, particularly given the increased risk of osteoporosis in women?
Yes, very nice question. So, till the age of 50, I'm talking about the bone health only. Till the age of 50, your good healthy diet, exercise works most of the times. Nowadays, we are getting a lot of vitamin D3 deficiency because everybody is sitting inside the room, no sunlight exposure. Vitamin D3 levels are very, very important in maintaining the bone strength. So if there is vitamin D3, so it's very important to check vitamin D3 more frequently. And if vitamin D3 is less than 30, those are the women who are at high risk of osteoporosis later on. So, but less than 50 years of age, it's important to have vitamin D3 supplementation depending upon the deficiency. But once a woman is menopausal, she requires more calcium also. This is because calcium is required for her bone strength along with vitamin D3. So at least 500 milligram twice a day calcium is important during menopause, along with vitamin D3 depending upon her vitamin D3 levels, so as to maintain vitamin D3 more than 30. In addition to that, exercise, especially after the age of 50, it's important to have weight-bearing exercises, muscle strengthening exercises.
The weight training.
Yes.
Yeah.
The muscle strengthening exercises. They are also important for bone health. And if the woman has premature menopause, as I mentioned, hormonal replacement therapy should be given at least till the age of 50, and that is given only for bone health.
Understood.
And very important is, after the age of 65, it is important to do bone mineral density. That's called BMD. BMD is to know the strength of your bones, strength of the bones of the spine and the femur. It tells you about the risk of your fracture. What is the risk of fracture of a particular woman? We know by doing a BMD. It should be started at the age of 65, in which, if suppose it tells us that the bone is very weak, then besides calcium, besides vitamin D3, she will need other treatment also to maintain the bone strength.
Correct.
There are certain conditions which will cause osteoporosis more frequently, like those who are on long-term medications, like thyroid medications, parathyroid medications, lithium, rheumatoid arthritis. There are certain conditions which will increase the risk of osteoporosis, but a healthy woman should start BMD at the age of 65 to see if extra medicines are required besides calcium and vitamin D3. And there are medicines available in the form of injections, in the form of weekly tablets, monthly tablets, 6 monthly injections, which can be taken to maintain the bone strength.
Priya has another question related to this, that what are the lesser known nutrients or lifestyle factors that significantly impacts bone density?
So, lifestyle, yes, I would say smoking, first thing. Smoking is the worst thing for the bones. Second, alcohol, too much of alcohol will decrease the bone strength. Then, if absolutely sedentary lifestyle, it is going to affect the bone health. So, these are the common things which should be taken care of, because again, these are all lifestyle things and has to be managed by lifestyle modification. That's it.
Thank you, Doctor. It was great having you on the 6th episode of Savikalpa Sanchar. Thank you for taking the time out to answer all our questions. I'm sure everyone is leaving here a lot more informed today. I know I am. Stay tuned for the next episode of Savikalpa Sanchar, a webinar where we discuss medical conditions in detail and give you a chance to connect directly with experts. Learn more with our blogs that we'll send in the chat below. Until then, have a great Sunday, and again, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Thank you.